Welcome to the workshop meeting to discuss the independent report. We have a time frame for tonight so that there's a fair and balanced opportunity to go over issues of concern and start working towards recommendations moving forward. Before we get going, if we could start with Steve Belinda and just go around and introduce ourselves, who is here in attendance tonight.
Steve Belinda, Assistant Town Manager.
Attorney Coppola from the law firm Birch & Moses in Milford and Westport, Connecticut.
Hello, I'm Jim Tallberg. I'm the Enfield Town Attorney.
Good evening, John Chiponas, Assessor, Town of Colchester. Todd Helm, Supervisor of Assessment and Revenue Collection for the Town of Enfield.
Jason Lawrence, Assessor Downtown.
Doug Figure, Counselor at Large.
Lori Lundgeier, Counselor at Large.
Mike Butterwood, Town Council.
Ken Nelson, Town Council, District 1.
Bob Prasadi, Mayor.
Gina Sakala, Deputy Mayor.
Matt Escort, District 3, Town Council.
Nick Hopkins, District Counselor for.
Johnson Elliott, Town Council, District 2.
Cindy Mangini, Council at Large.
Donna Duminowski, BAA member.
Attorney Rachel Baird on behalf of the BAA members.
Tom Tyler, BAA Chair.
Lori Lumley, BAA Vice Chair.
Sheila Bailey, Town Clerk.
Helen Zappa-Sastu, Town Manager.
Maria Kester, again, Town Council.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask Attorney Tallberg and Attorney Coppola to go over the format before we begin tonight.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you everybody for coming here tonight. Again, Jim Tallberg, I'm the Town Attorney, and just talk a little bit about the format. This is, I think, the fourth workshop that I've done as the Enfield Town Attorney, and in each of those three other workshops, what I've stressed is that we are all Team Enfield. We have different roles, responsibilities. Some of them are statutory, some of them are in the charter, some of them are by ordinance. Sometimes those different responsibilities clash, especially when we're talking about an adversary process, as is associated with the tax appeal process. But what we stressed in all those other workshops, just like here tonight, is that we're all Team Enfield. So for example, we did a new orientation, or an orientation for new counselors, and we've done 2 land use training sessions where we talk about law and we have a free exchange of ideas, the goal being to provide the best delivery of services to Enfield's residents and taxpayers. In each of those, we're trying to find the best way to do business and come up with best practices. And the purpose, as we've done here tonight, is not a round table, but a rectangular table to try to find common ground and not engage in an adversary process here tonight. So I'd encourage everyone to please be respectful and civil so we can have a constructive dialogue and hopefully come out of here with some recommendations. That was the whole goal with the independent review, to have a conclusion with recommendations that could be implemented to move Enfield forward in a positive way. So pursuant to the agenda, we're going to try to keep it on a schedule. We're going to have opening statements of 10 minutes each, 10 minutes for the Board of Assessment Appeals. And if the tax assessor would like a 10-minute rebuttal, he may. Per the mayor, the request was put out to the BAA whether they wanted to go first or in rebuttal, and they wanted to go first. So in a moment, I'll stop talking and the BAA will have the floor for 10 minutes. That will be followed by a specific discussion of 7 cases that leadership of the council wanted to have further questions and discussion on. And it's my understanding that there were several cases the BAA also wanted additional discussion on, and that those cases are included in the 7. For those 7 cases, we've allotted 12 minutes each case, and by that I mean it should be 6 minutes per side, hopefully. And there would be, again, back and forth. Since the BAA is going to have the opening statement first, what we'd suggest is for the first case, the assessor could talk about the case, followed by a rebuttal by the BAA, and there could be additional commentary from Attorney Coppola at the end of each of those cases as may be needed. And we will then wrap up with closing statements, 10 minutes each side, again, because the BAA will go first, we'll let the assessor go first in the closing. And if I've done my math, that should total up to about 2 hours, maybe less. hopefully not much more. We will then conclude, the mayor, I think, may have some remarks about potential next steps. And that is the process. I think we have an agreement from leadership that town councilors will try to hold their questions until the end. And that is the overview, Mr. Mayor. So if there's no further business, I would suggest we go right to the opening statements of the BAA. Thank you. I'll be the moderator, as I've done in all of the other, if I may, Mr. Mayor, if you
Yes.
cede it to me. That's what we did in all the other workshops, just to try to keep it going and keep the dialogue going on. So, Councilor Hopkins.
Fair enough. So, I mean, I was not part of scheduling this format. I understand a lot of work's been put into it. I think it's important for the council to be able to ask its full range of questions. I think it's important to do the tax assessor and VA separate. So at this point, I would make a motion to suspend the rules and set a future special meeting to do that. Like was discussed at the last meeting and voted on, I think it should go to the full council, since this doesn't seem to be what was talked about at that meeting. So I would make that motion to schedule a future meeting for the BAA as a special meeting.
Well, with all due respect, Councilor, it's not a council meeting, it's a workshop, and so,
Yeah, just as a point where this is a special meeting of the town council, I think we can make motions like that in here. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's pretty clear. This is a special meeting. You can call it a workshop, it's fine, but it's still a special meeting.
with all due respect, I argue that it's not a special meeting of the council, it's a workshop. So with that, you may give your opening statement.
So I would also make a motion to clarify that as a point of order for the council. I think we need to clarify what this is exactly. Is it a special meeting? Is it a workshop?
Okay, it was, if I may, it
No,
was.
I'm going to finish my motion. I apologize. I don't want to talk over you, vice versa. So I would make the motion to clarify this as a special meeting so that we can then vote on scheduling a subsequent special meeting with the BAA, like we discussed before. So I'd make that motion here.
All due respect, Counselor, out of order, it's a workshop, clearly posted as a workshop. So to try to move it along, I'd encourage BAA to give their opening.
Yes.
She seconded it.
Oh, I did not hear that.
Marie, did you second that?
Did you second? I agree with Councilor Hopkins.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
This is not the special meeting that you had in mind, Counselor Santinella.
Mr. Mayor, this is a farce right now. It is a disrespectful, inept effort to continue this dialogue ad infinitum until people hear the answers that they want to hear. The council, over a year ago, agreed that it would launch an independent review of the revaluation that took place in 2021. We did that. Councilor Ludwig and I and Councilor Hopkins spent countless hours overseeing that review, and Attorney Coppola did an amazing job doing that. And we have in our hand the result of that review. And if people don't like what the report had to say, that is not reason for us to continue to have meeting after meeting after meeting. And quite frankly, I think what is going on here, them bringing their attorney, their own videographer, it is an attempt to intimidate people here, and it's absolutely uncalled for. So I am not going to sit here through this. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Well, hold on, before you do that, we've spent a lot of time at the end here, and to your point, Councilor Hopkins, the BAA is at the table, it doesn't make it a BAA meeting, it's not a council meeting, it's a workshop.
I just,
So the motion's out of order.
as a point of order, it's listed as a special meeting. We're treating it as a special meeting. In what world is this not a special meeting of the town
It's
council?
not, it's listed as a workshop, just like the others I've described, where there was no motion practice, it's an educational workshop. So,
I
BAA
I second Councilor Santinel's motion. I'm very frustrated by this.
If you all don't want to proceed with the workshop that we prepared here tonight, that's one thing, but this is the BAA's opportunity if they want to be heard, and the assessor. So who's next? Councilor Finger. Councilor Finger.
Thank you, Council. So, whole thing was, when we sat in the council meeting and the VA came up along with the attorney, and that meeting they came up, Councilor Nelson and Councilor Mayor Casati both said we will have a special meeting for you. There was nothing about a workshop. This is, we're going to have a special meeting for you to hear their opinions along with Mr. Helms. So that is what this should have been, not this workshop to get around all the lawyer, humble jumbo, whatever, sorry guys, we're lawyers, with you, is that this was supposed to be a special meeting. That's what the lawyer was told, that's what they were told, that's what he was told, that's what all of us were told that night when they were cut short about their meeting, saying, hey, we will hold a special meeting for you, not a workshop. The workshop is to teach us on something that we're supposed to be doing, like like going through the town manager and including the leadership on all of our emails, as Councilor references about things. This is not that. This is a very serious condition that's in our town that needs to be taken care of, along with, again, both parties, in my opinion. I'm sorry, Nick, I think both parties should be at the table, but I will agree with second if it happens, but I also agree with what Councilor said. My point is that what we have is not supposed to be a workshop. It is supposed to be a special meeting. Look back at the tape of that night when they both said a special meeting will be held for the BAA. So what you're doing, calling a workshop, is wrong, and that's what I have to say, and thank you very much.
Well, Councilor Finger, in response, the leadership approved the workshop. That's why we're here tonight. So we can proceed with that. We'll have more councilor comments, so Councilor Despard.
Yeah, I don't want to delay this any further. I would appeal to everyone here that wants another special meeting. Let's get to the end of tonight. Let's see if that's necessary. It would be such a shame to have this all set up right now. We're all here, people are here. Let's get to it. I think that this is something that should be held back for the end of tonight. Let's see what we get, and then if we want to deal with it then, let's deal with it then. But the idea that we're trying to blow this up before it begins is just insane to me. Let's put this on the table, and let's get on with it.
Thank you, Councilor Despard. I appreciate those words. Councilor Nelson.
Okay, on the motion, before we do anything such as shut down the meeting, I agree with Councilman Despard. People came out, they want to hear, possibly speak, and see what's going on. Before we cancel any meeting or close any meeting, I think we should at least give the BAA the opportunity for their opening statement and see what they want to do in this situation. As far as the wording intimidation by the BAA, you want to talk intimidation? We have 3 assessors and 2 attorneys sitting here for the town, and the BAA just brought their representation and a videographer, the same thing the town has. So I don't see intimidation. This is an open meeting. Everybody is welcome. Bring who you want. And at this point, I don't support either one of them until the BAA has their opening statement, because here we are again shutting them down before they have a chance to say anything. If they choose not to move forward with this meeting and have a special meeting where it's just them, that's their decision. That's not our decision. So let's hear what they have to say before we cancel this meeting that everybody came out to.
And Councilor Mangini wanted to be heard.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'm not with them. I'm Ed Peruta, American News and Information Services. They didn't ask me to come here. They didn't tell me to come here. I knew it was happening. Yes, I'm familiar with Rachel Baird, but I came because I wanted to come, because I'm interested in this topic. Mr. Talbert knows who I am.
Thank you and welcome, Mr. Peruta. Councilor Mangini.
All right, we live in a world, and in fact, our community has been adversely affected so horribly by disrespect, abuse, lack of understanding of others. These people at this table and our guests in the back are all here for one purpose, not to hear us attack one another or call a workshop or a special meeting, what have you. The fact of the matter remains, we're here to conduct business. Out of the business, we need to show respect and maturity. We are town councilors. Our role is to be leaders. We're not acting like leaders, we're acting like freaking 2-year-olds. We need to grow up, put our issues aside, Show respect to the people who are here, the BAA, the other attorneys, the assessors, everyone who's here for a purpose. The purpose is to look at these issues. And the people in the back, our residents, let's have some respect for our residents. Let's get to task, do our job, and stop with the childishness. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Councilor Mangini. Anything further? No. Can we just please proceed? We've now spent 15 minutes debating. Mr. Mayor?
Just one final comment. I would like to see if we could proceed with this meeting. Enough with the bickering that's going on. This agenda, the notice of this meeting is not something that just
Can we please follow the agenda?
follow the agenda. And if we can't follow the agenda, then we will go and.
Yeah, it was publicly posted. We're all here ready. Let's go.
I'm sorry.
My name is Rachel Baird, and the address of my law office is 2234 Silas D. Highway, Rocky Hill, Connecticut. I am here this evening on behalf of the 3 Enfield Board of Assessment Appeals members, Attorney Thomas Tyler, Donna Dubanowski, and Lori Lawley, who have volunteered their time since spring 2022 addressing over 700 appeals brought by town of Enfield taxpayers. My intention is to use the 10 minutes allotted to the board in tonight's agenda to object to the format of this meeting. The board members will not be participating in this meeting for 2 reasons. First, to protest the format of this meeting, which denies them an opportunity to be heard equal to the opportunity given Attorney Coppola to answer questions about the issues raised in the report he prepared. The report was prepared under Council Resolution 6348, which stated, quote, "The Town Council has determined there is a need to review the 2021-22 tax assessment practices, the content of 2021-2022 PA 490 exemption determinations, and the 2021-2022 tax assessment appeals. Second, under my advice as counsel, because it is wrong to discuss appeals involving the finances of real people, taxpayers in this town, who have had no notice that their tax situation will be probed and discussed this evening, perhaps to be held out as scofflaws because the town believes that they should not have prevailed in their appeals to the board. This is not the way a town council should treat its taxpayers as a means to prove a point by pitting the tax assessor against the board in 12-minute increments that expose taxpayers to publicity and potential ridicule, all to show that the money spent in preparing this report was not wasted, and that Attorney Coppola's conclusions smearing the board members should be accepted. According to the agenda, specific cases will be allotted 12 minutes for discussion. Presumably, the 3 cases specified in Section 8A described by Attorney Coppola as board decisions in conflict with Connecticut law. Despite what Attorney Coppola said during his interview with Attorney Tyler, the board chair, that what Attorney Coppola thought about the board decisions was not relevant. So are we to take from Attorney Coppola's comment that his opinions that 3 board decisions are in conflict with the law are not relevant? So why are they in the report? So why are we here this evening? What was the plan for what would happen after this council's version of a cage fight, which pits the tax assessor against the board? Will you as members of the council now sit in judgment of the board's decisions? Will you rule in favor of the tax assessor? Will you rule at all? The statutory authority to review board decisions is vested solely in the Superior Court per Connecticut General Statute Sections 12-117A and 12-119. This council does not have authority, expressed or implied, to review board decisions. The board's refusal to participate in this meeting may in fact save this council from setting dangerous precedent and acting beyond its jurisdiction. In the report prepared by Attorney Coppola, he disagrees with 3 board decisions and then concludes they are contrary to law. Just because Attorney Coppola disagrees with decisions of the board, it does not make those decisions contrary to law. Attorney Coppola investigated the board, judged the board's decisions, and then informed the council that should they have issues with the board, then reports should be made to the OPM and the state's attorney. And now this council expects the board members to be non-adversarial and participate in what has all the markings and designs of a sham proceeding. You may recall that the last time I appeared before you on June 5th, 2023, I was shut down when I commented about an issue raised in the report about the tax assessor and a recorder left on a coat rack, unattended and surreptitiously recorded during tax appeal hearings. Mayor Casati forcefully informed me that this was against the rules as the tax assessor was not present. Then I learned that last week, after the board members left a council meeting, the town council, Attorney Tolberg, criticized the board and its members for the better part of 6 minutes. Does Mayor Casati's rule only apply to public comments and not to town officials? The council has forgotten that the genesis of this independent review began in May 2022 when board minutes expressed the frustrations of the board members, continued and repeated efforts to inform the council of widespread problems within the town administration, resulting in an artificially inflated October 1st, 2021 revaluation grand list. The board members were concerned about overassessments, unwarranted changes in PA 490 classifications, and the administration's lack of candor with taxpayers, including hiding and concealing information for property cards that is necessary to calculate a property's true assessment. Apparently, the town administration, aided by its outside vendor, Vision Government Services, believes that it can hit a computer key to suppress taxpayer information, as the assessor has already done, about a property's value to keep the public uninformed about how property is assessed in Enfield. Board members were concerned that the mentality of the administration had changed to the point where taxpayers had become the enemy, and we include residents in general, farmers, business owners, charities, nonprofits, etc., as those affected. Even non-taxpayers are affected by the trickle-down effects of property tax overassessments. What the board did not anticipate was that the administration would attempt to handpick a law firm it presumed would ignore the missteps of the tax assessor and use every means possible to present the board in a negative light to shut board members up and shut them down. The format set forth in the agenda for this meeting designates as the moderator the same person who handpicked Attorney Coppola to conduct the independent review. A moderator needs to be objective and unbiased. Bertram Moses was Attorney Tolberg's handpicked firm to conduct the independent review. He advocated for skipping the request for proposal process altogether. This does not offer the appearance of objectivity required of a moderator, especially at this meeting, where the moderator will begin each 12-minute session with a summary of the facts of the yet-to-be-named, at least yet-to-be-named to the board, cases. Attorney Tolberg has been an advocate for the administration, Bertram Moses, and the tax assessor, while persistently criticizing board members individually and collectively for months. His attitude towards the board has been hostile. A meeting that has opening and closing statements, an opportunity in between to make a case for previous decisions, has all the hallmarks of a trial. As I asked previously, what is the role of the council? Are you the jury? Who will give you instructions about how to decide who is right and who is wrong in the yet-to-be-named cases that will be presented to you this evening? Will you vote? Does it need to be unanimous? What exactly was the intention for this evening? I'll answer my own question from the perspective of the board members. The plan and purpose of this meeting and its format is to convince the taxpayers that the funds expended to produce this report were not wasted. How ironic that the board's concerns about an artificially inflated October 1st, 2021 revaluation grand list that burden the taxpayers has resulted in a report that seeks to protect the administration and tax assessor, whom the board complained about were the source of the over-assessments. Be careful what you ask for. When you see a problem and want it fixed, you become the problem for those who don't want to fix anything. In closing, the board wishes to recognize and acknowledge the bipartisan motion passed on June 19, 2023 by Councilors Nick Hopkins and Marie Pisner to hold a special meeting for the board to make its presentation with the same format afforded Attorney Coppola. This will afford the board opportunity for full and accurate rebuttal to the report, as well as a format for council members to ask questions and receive complete answers in robust dialogue with the board. We hereby renew the same request for a meaningful meeting and propose July 13th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in council chambers and live stream. The board members and the taxpayers deserve so much more than this sham trial. If the council is interested in what the board has to say, then give the board members a meaningful opportunity to be heard. That special meeting proposed at the June 19th council meeting truly will be in the best interest of the town and the residents of Enfield. Although the board members will not be present for the remainder of this meeting, I will stay as a member of the public and as a reminder that negativity toward the board members in their absence will not be condoned by me, even if it has been condoned by the council. The end. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Baird. Mr. Helms, would you care to give an opening?
I would. Good evening, Mayor Prasadi, Deputy Mayor, and council members. Since March of 2022, I have kept silent on my reputation and character has been attacked, sullied, and besmirched. I do not intend to do the same with anyone involved with this process, and will only list the facts as they happen over the past 15 months. While it is unprecedented for a municipality to do so, our town contracted for a comprehensive, independent review to get legal answers once and for all on every issue raised. Our town residents have paid a lot of money for this review that I believe speaks for itself. While some may not like the outcome, you have all agreed that it was fair and comprehensive. I believe that with the issuance of this report, it would finally put an end to this once and for all. Now, those that do not like the results and or findings of the report wish to call into question if those who were contracted to perform the investigations were too close to the assessor. The time frame to question whom was the town hiring expired a long time ago, and the assessor did not award the bid. But I assure you that regardless of who you hired, the outcome would have been exactly the same. Tonight, we are taking another unprecedented step in that our town council will be having a discussion on several different cases. I oppose this course of action and feel it is inappropriate. We have some residents having their issues discussed here tonight, while other residents are not, which defies the basic taxation principle of treating everyone the same. Regardless, I am here today to request. I'll turn my remaining time over to John Chaponis, who is renowned for his assessment expertise. He's a past president of the Assessors Association, chaired the State Ethics Committee for years, and was one of the writers of the current Code of Ethics for assessors. He has taught numerous assessment workshops at the University of Connecticut and currently sits on the state agency that handles the training, education, and certification of assessors in Connecticut. John?
Good evening. I'm here at Todd's request, but I would just make it clear that Todd and I are not personal friends. We are colleagues, but we don't socialize. I've never been to his home, he's never been to mine. We've never been out to dinner before. He really asked me to come tonight in case there were questions regarding the industry standard. You know, much of what's happened here in Enfield has gotten a lot of press. You know, the assessment community in the East Coast is small, and a lot of people have been watching this. He's not wrong when he says some of the things that are taking place here are unprecedented. Obviously, you know, being an assessor is never, you know, an easy job. The ultimate job description is the fair administration of the local property tax as prescribed by state statute. Ironically, that's the same exact job task for the Board of Assessment Appeals, and in a perfect world, of course, they work very well together. It seems like, I have read the report, and it seems like many of the issues here regarding either exemptions or PA 490. The Supreme Court ruled in Snyder v. Newtown that exemption from taxation is the equivalent of the appropriation of public funds, because the exemption lifts the tax off of those exempted and shifts it onto the backs of others. Determining whether a property qualifies for an exemption or Public Act 490 is one of the hardest decisions an assessor has to make. Just because someone either qualified for or received the benefit in the past doesn't mean that they're entitled to it in perpetuity. It would be easy for an assessor to look the other way and just grandfather something. It's the difficult road to, take a hard look at it and make those kind of decisions. But there is no allowance in Connecticut general statutes for grandfathering anything, and that certainly wouldn't be a fair administration of the local property tax. If you guys continue with this meeting tonight and have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, is there anything further from the assessors, Simon?
No.
Okay, well, folks, the BAA has made its decision. They've elected that they don't want to participate, but we are here in good faith, as I said at the outset, to have a constructive discussion. And it was my understanding that leadership wanted to discuss 7 cases. And so I would hold it open that we could proceed, and if the assessor wants to talk about these 7 cases, we could still do that. Councilman Nelson?
Well, the assessor also in his opening statement or his rebuttal said that he also opposes this meeting. So therefore, we have 2 parties that we came down to have them do a head-to-head, and neither one of them want to have it. So at this point, I don't want to hear one side, because that gets us nowhere. And the BAA is looking to have their side heard. And I personally thought this meeting would be the perfect opportunity to try to resolve these top 7 or 8 items that we have, so the people behind us don't have to go through this again next year and the year after and the year after. And we could have a head-to-head, the council sits and listens, and then makes a decision on who we feel is representing the town at the best. Now, the town is the taxpayers, okay? I agree with everything that the assessor said and the gentleman next to him about the 490. It's not in perpetuity. There's a lot of things to it, and I accept as a council member, even though I wasn't here, that a lot of that falls on the town council, not on our assessor. We should have passed this ordinance or statute a couple years ago and straightened it out when he brought it to our attention. And I believe we're working on this now to try to resolve this, because I believe half the people behind us are caught up on that. And so once that's resolved, hopefully next year they're not here. So having 2 parties that don't want to be here, or having a one-sided conversation, is a waste of everybody's time, especially the people behind me who came out. So at this point, I would agree with Councilman Hopkins. Let's give the assessor, the Board of Assessment Appeal, their time to speak about their side of the story, and set it up for the 13th at 7 p.m. Our assessor is welcome to come, because obviously he is part of it, but I don't see we can have a back and forth with them, because it's not fair to him to sit there and not be able to say anything. So I'm open to let the BAA say what they want to say, because that's what they want. They don't want to do the meeting that we agreed in leadership to set up, where we could have a head-to-head, and I do appreciate the assessor coming out. Even though he doesn't like the meeting, he showed up, and the BAA left. So that's where I'm at right now. The meeting is not what I intended, so I don't see any need to keep dragging this.